Your love for me has got to be real. I'm Jim Dedelow, host of JED, and right now I'm going to do a little segment that we've wanted to do for a while called JED in America. And I'm standing out here on Indianapolis Boulevard, which turns into US 41 there in a couple blocks. And I'm standing amidst 25-degree weather on Tuesday, April 10th of 2018. Can you believe it that it's still this cold? I have no idea how that happened. But it is. Amidst all of the talk of global warming, here we come. And for the most part, I do a morning radio show here talking about local stuff, and I'll start doing that in about 20 minutes again. But there is so much stuff going on at the national scene that could affect us all in the long run. So I decided to do a little segment called JED in America. So from the sidewalk outside Purdue Northwest Commercialization Center, let's talk about a couple of these things. Pick a number. Well, let's get to Syria in a second, but last night, was it a historic FBI raid? It all starts with a stripper. It's a strip search last night. You know what I mean? Now, I don't want anybody digging through my dirty laundry. You guys knew that I traded at the Board of Trade for 18 years. You know, there were those little trips with, well, into the underworld of just underworld. And the underworld of underwear. Everybody, you know, a lot of guys have this, all right? But Donald Trump, the Teflon Don, evidently has some sort of a relationship with a stripper by the name of Stormy Daniels. More appropriately, a porn star named Stormy Daniels. Now, when we first started talking about that, I asked the question, I said, in the average American male's mind, does that take Donald Trump up a notch or down a notch? Well, you could say it just knocks him down a notch. I can't believe it. It's a huge moral problem that he created for himself. And then there's the other part. There's your id. Your id says, way to go, Donald. But anyways, we'll leave that out. Who cares, really, that he had a soiree with that? It's a little kind of, the timing is bad and that it may have happened while his wife was pregnant. And that's kind of, yeah, who wants to talk about that, right? But he went ahead, did it, or he didn't do it. He's denying it. Hey, what are you peeping thumbs up and like? Hey, close your window. It's 25 degrees out. So along comes a guy by the name of Cohen, his attorney. And I forgot Cohen's first name and all of the madness here. My mind has been just completely erased by a very loud beep, which I welcome, by the way. So Cohen is his kind of hatchet man, you know? He's Trump's, what was that guy's name? And he's kind of like Ray Donovan, really, if you think about it, but he's a lawyer. So he, for some reason, it looks as if Cohen pays a stripper or porn star, Stormy Daniels, $130,000 ahead of the 2016 election, so that she'll be quiet about said encounter that didn't happen. So many inconsistencies here that we start to go, So Cohen says now that he just did it out of the goodness of his heart. And Trump has said, well, he didn't really know about it. So, you know, Cohen's like, you know, he's my friend. I just thought I'd shut this woman up and give her 130 grand. All right, the story could stop there, but it has not. And part of it is Stormy Daniels has a pretty good lawyer. A man who once had hair and is still pissed that he doesn't. That's what this lawyer goes around acting like. But he's a pretty good guy, a pretty good communicator. I don't know about a good guy. Would you have hung around with him in high school? Maybe, but you might have said, hey, quit arguing, man. Anyways, last night, the FBI, the Southern District of New York, raided the home or the apartment, the hotel. Why the guy's staying in a hotel, I don't know. and then his office of Cohen. So I think 3 locations, or 2 or 3 locations. And they took all the stuff related to communications with Trump. Now I know what you're thinking, well, isn't that privileged communications? There are all sorts of loopholes that prosecutors can go at communications. Did you know if you're communicating with your lawyer in a privileged communication and you CC someone else on it, well, that's not privileged anymore as far as I understand. But there's all sorts of ways. And then they could say if it's in furtherance of a crime, you know, poof, all things are off. So they go after all of these records, bank records. So I tried to talk to a lawyer last night, not my wife, it's not, a different one. So, well, what are the possible 2 crimes that they're talking about? Well, one could be that Cohen lied on his application to get a bank loan. What are you using the money for? Well, I'm using it to fix up my windows. Oh, okay, you're gonna spruce up your place? We'll give you the $130,000 home improvement loan. Well, all right. Do you think he put down there that he was going to pay hush money to a porn star? Probably not, but we'll see what happens on just Cohen. And then there's the idea that if he gave $130,000 to Stormy Daniels, is that considered campaign contribution? And as such, was it reported on Donald Trump's campaign finance report? Now you're thinking, wow, that's kind of weird. Well, I mean, it's part of if they want her to shut up so that Trump can get him elected, is that in furtherance of his election dealing happenings? I know that's just, I just made that term up. And the only reason I say that is I spent about 2.5 weeks over the summer in a courtroom right across town here in Hammond, Indiana, the federal courtroom, the Northern District of Indiana. And ostensibly it was a case where our Lake County Sheriff took money from tow truck operators. And it's really can't be denied all that much that he took the money for, I mean, they have videotape of him taking the money, and they have all sorts of bank records. And it totals really only about $15,000 over like 4.5 years. But it was money that was not reported on his campaign finance report. And legal analysts were very adamant in pointing out that, well, you know, he took this money from these tow truck operators. There were a number of legal questions. Did he give them favorable treatment or whatever? I mean, I think ultimately it was bribery that he went to jail for. But there was a lot of analysis. If he had just taken the money and written it down on his campaign finance report, he might not have gotten 15 years, 8 months in jail, which is ultimately what he was sentenced to. So the issue is a larger issue. I mean, did Cohen, you know, commit bank fraud? Maybe, I don't know. Does it matter? Yeah, well, maybe they could get him to flip on Trump is what I'm guessing they're thinking. But ultimately, this campaign finance, man, I'm starting to learn more about it, and I sat through that whole trial, and I'm like, I'm just watching the whole trial at every step. Yeah, it looks like he took the money. Yeah, it looks like he might have given, or he did give favorable treatment to certain tow truck operators. Why didn't he just write it down on his campaign finance report, and he wouldn't have, it looks like this all would have gone away. Is that the same question that Donald Trump and Attorney Cohen have to answer? I don't know. I don't know what that means for America. It means that Donald Trump gave one of the most bizarre press conferences yesterday, and I'm going to play that because I just don't get it. I just don't get how he should have just shut his mouth. I mean, he just kept going on and on about America. This is an attack on our country. And does anybody feel that way? Is this an attack on our country that his attorney was raided? If you do, I'd like to hear from you and explain that to me. 219-845-1100. Has anybody been watching Homeland? It's almost as if Donald Trump was using the rhetoric of some of the people in an American rebellion in modern times. This is an attack on our country. Speaking of attacks, did Bashar Assad use chemical weapons on his people? Was it endorsed by the Russians? This is obviously, I think these stories are related actually, but what are we going to do about it? President Trump was getting together with his national security people when all of a sudden he started talking about this raid. He just found out about it and he just kind of went on a tirade. But they're going to do something on Syria. And this could get, this could dwarf any of the other discussions if we have some sort of a military response. President Trump and his national security team began laying the groundwork Monday for a possible military strike against Syrian President Bashar al-Assad in response to a suspected chemical weapons attack that killed dozens of civilians. As at least one U.S.-guided missile destroyer moved toward the Syrian coast, Mr. Trump said he was likely to make a quick decision on whether to strike after seeing jarring images of dead women and children felled in their homes. It will be met, and it will be met forcefully when I will not say, Mr. Trump said Monday evening before meeting with his top military leaders. Mr. Trump conferred with cabinet members, then met top military leaders and spoke to allies about a possible response. The decision on whether to strike Syria could come as early as today. So good luck with that. All right, what else is going on? You know what? It just doesn't stop. If you guys feel sometimes that the world is just going a little bit too crazy, well, I'm with you, because Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg is going in front of Congress today, and he's got to testify why he showed everybody your data, or he allowed your data to be used in nefarious ways. And really, if you think about it, I've been just yapping about this forever. There's one way to fix this situation in a hurry, and that's just to say, thanks, Mr. Zuckerberg, we're good with everything that you said. What we're going to do is we are going to impose on you the exact same restrictions that we impose on AM radio stations. You're going to have to get a license, and you're going to have to abide by a whole bunch of things, and if you don't, we'll have our enforcement division come after you and pull your license, and your website will come down. That's how that starts, right then and there. And you know all that content on there? You go to an AM radio station and say, oh, in Hammond, Indiana. And the guys that are broadcasting there all day long, they're putting local stuff on there, doing what they're supposed to be doing. And all that time, those people that hold that license, those two people, Dedelows, they're responsible for that content that goes on that radio station. And you know what, Mr. Zuckerberg? You're responsible for what goes on your website. Problem fixed, man. It's all over. No more Russians. Somebody Russians want to come in and they want to pay for something, you got to fill out a form. Say, oh, you're Russian, you want to put something on about, you want to change the election? Okay, that's fine, but let me fill out this form and send it on to Washington, because that's what's now required of me. Hey! You know what? It's 25 degrees and the sun is coming up. It's an early sun now, this time of year. It's starting to get there. But it's freezing cold right now. My hands are holding a phone so that I have a light on it, if you guys are on or listen on the radio. And this hand here is, it's not quite frostbitten, but it's getting close. And I'm going to have to put it in the pocket and switch hands. I don't know what is going on, but how it's 25 degrees on April 10th, nobody knows. Cubs will play today. Sox play today. It's a beautiful day in the Calumet region. And Burley Suggs is up next with me. We're going to talk some local stuff here. There's plenty to talk about. But I just wanted to talk a little bit on the national scene, because there's just so much going on at the same time that it's hard to make sense of it. And I thought I would just go through it and kind of maybe simplify a couple of things that are going on in the national scene. We don't have to be scared of what's going on. We don't have to go stick our head in the sand and go, I don't want to think about it. I can't take it. No, it's just our lives. Just got to boil it down. I think part of it is how it's delivered. Just kind of calmly talk about Trump getting raided, Syrians using chemical attacks, and Facebook giving up your data to Russians. All right, guys, I'll be inside in just a little bit on AM 1230 WJOB. I want to thank the Iron Workers Local 395 for paying for me to be out here. Don't forget the American Heart Association huge gala is this weekend. That's on a Saturday. The electricians will be out there. The iron workers will be out there. If you had forgotten about it, there's still some last-minute tickets and tables available, and that'll be at the Avalon on Saturday night. I will be there also, along with my beautiful bride. All right, AM 1230, WJOB 104.7 FM, also on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube in live video. Thanks for watching and listening. Click!